Another Saturday, another episode. Guys, welcome back to another episode of The Journey Aiming Wrong or Right, the third season of my podcast, Perception 101. First of all my prayers to the people who have been extremely affected by the pandemic. Please stay safe and take care. And remember, this shall pass as well. So, this is the eighth episode, and you're going to love this podcast. The conversation is full of insightful experiences from how natural reaction actually started to what kind of stereotypes they faced to learning something new every day. So, enjoy this episode with the co founder of Natural Reaction, Navita Pareek. So, hi Navita, welcome to Perception 101, and I am very excited for this episode because the venture that you have started is something unique that I haven't seen a lot, and I've been trying to reach out to a lot of people to understand about the planting thing, how people do it, and is there any venture. So, through a few of my friends, and then I got to know that your sister was my junior in school. So that way,
Yeah,
it was very exciting for me to see that in Guwahati, in a place like this, where people are not that much open about something like this, because this is something unorthodox. You and your sister started something, as natural reaction. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this episode with me.
no, thank you. Pleasure's all mine. I'm so glad to be here. And forgive me, this is my first podcast, so I may not be the best of your participants, but I'll try to be candid and make this exciting as much as possible.
Just do your best to be natural. That's all we need right now.
Okay, so hi everyone. I am Navita and I am the co founder of Natural Reaction, which is a green decor platform that started out during the pandemic. Well, prior to that, I worked at a multinational company as a PR consultant. And while managing clients like Unilever, Royal Enfield, and my essential job was to handle their brand reputation, I sort of realized that I needed to step out of this. And gardening is something that I always used to do as a way to relax. And then we were all stuck at home and had a lot of time in our hands. And I started doing this, and I got a lot of appreciation. It was from my inner circle, but sometimes I think that's all you need, probably just like an inner click. And that's what happened with me and my sister. We thought this through, and then we were like, okay, let's give it a shot. We have the time, we have the opportunity, why not launch it and see how it goes? And thankfully, and to our surprise, actually it worked out really well. And I don't think it would have worked out well in any other city other than Guwahati. As in, you said that it's sort of unorthodox, yes, but it's not unheard of. People are really fond of plants here, and that I can vouch for. And when we combine that with a whole facility where you can use it to gift it to friends, you get your homes done, you get like a holistic experience that you would otherwise want to not indulge into, because it's a lot of hard work, physical labor, and also to source everything. It's not easy in Guwahati. So when we actually thought it through, we realized that this might actually be a problem solver more than just like an exciting venture. And so that's what it's been doing. It's been solving problems for people who want to give something nice to their friends, and not just send out a bouquet, because that expires in 7 days. And this is something that it's marvelous. I mean, it grows, it's life, and every time somebody has something of you, it reminds them that they are nurturing it, and it sends out a message, as well as it's needed more than ever right now. So I think overall, yeah, that's the whole idea of Natural Reaction. It's an amalgamation of design and a green lifestyle, not just in the way of gifting or in just a matter of plant piece that you keep at home, but it's a whole lifestyle that we try to encourage, and we hope that we keep doing this further on.
And coming up with something like this, coming up with such a great idea to help people decor their home through plants. And as you said, that it's the need of the hour right now. This is a small thing, but somewhere if it grows and if people see what this actually is, what this actually means, they'll actually understand.
It has a lot of scope. Yeah, it has a lot of scope from a design point of view, from a green point of view. I didn't expect, I mean, honestly, I had no hopes, and I had my job, so I was like, I have nothing to lose. Let's just go all out with it. What's there to lose? If this doesn't work out well, I'll go back to my 9 to 6 job. Well, thankfully it worked out, and then I happily quit my job. But that's really great to know that people appreciated it so much, and I don't think it would have happened in any other city. I personally feel that, and I stayed in 3 of the biggest metropolitan cities, and it's the fact that Guwahati is a very supportive market when it comes to encouraging entrepreneurs. I genuinely feel that.
That's great. That's good to hear, to be honest, because during the pandemic, everybody came up with different ideas and they had the time to think about certain things. Like you said, that you were in the 9 to 6 job and you didn't have anything to lose starting such a venture. And plus, you had your sister to help you out through everything. So, this whole duo thing, how does it work for you guys? Is it sometimes clashy? Is it sometimes okay to, have that argument as such? Because I know that people can have that argument when it comes to siblings.
Yeah, definitely. See, Garima and I are two totally different people. I am the somber one, and she is the, what do you call it? It's basically working with fire and ice at the same time. But that actually worked out really well for us because she's the one who wants to jump all into it, and then I'm there to, sort of structure it, give it, and that's only by the virtue of age, I think, and also because I have had work experience working at the corporate, and she was in college when we started this. The best thing about us is that we while we are doing this together, we have separate roles altogether. She takes care of the design bit, she does the designing part of the planters, and I take care of the plants bit. So I have no idea about the design aspect of it other than choosing a color palette, and she on the other hand knows very little about plants. So it works out well because she brings in her own expertise and I bring in mine, and both of them are equally important. So that way this partnership really worked out. Clashes, of course, if I fight with her every day because she's my sister, but when we're doing work and when we're sitting to do work, we're very straightforward that this is a professional interaction and nothing about who stole my chocolate from the fridge is going to come in between. So yeah, that way it's all good. Yeah, I think it works out well for both of us.
That's nice. But how did this idea come about? There's always a backstory for some people. Some people have this thing, since their childhood they wanted to start something like this, or they have been practicing this or doing this as a hobby, and pandemic gave them this whole platform suddenly being online and to start something, what they love. So how did natural reaction as an idea come about for you guys?
It actually started. The idea about selling plants and pots didn't come to us, to be very honest. What came to us is I have been supporting sustainability for a very long time, and when I was working, like my last job, my stint was in Gurgaon, and I got really into sustainability from a fashion point of view, onboarding a lot of eco-friendly brands and everything. And I discussed that with Garima, what if we were to actually, the idea was to launch a sustainable fashion label because she's into designing and she's also going to a design school now. And I wanted to endorse this whole concept of sustainability and actually launch a brand, like, a personal label in Guwahati. But then that seemed a bit far-fetched because the pandemic came in between and we did not have the resources to do that. So we started, pondering upon how do we bring this about? Like, what is it that we can do? And the only two things that were important to us was keeping the design part of it alive and the sustainability bit. And honestly, I think we had this conversation over the phone and I told you that it just clicked. I have no idea how it started. I think I had some friends over, we were all chilling in the pandemic. So even I had some of my friends over and they saw our balcony and they were like, this is beautiful. Why don't you guys, do something like this? And obviously the back thought is always that in your subconscious mind we were both thinking we want to start something of our own, and we were like, yeah, what do we start with? And we didn't want to start something that we were not how do I explain, that you're not connected with. So we thought, okay, fine, let's just give this a shot. And honestly, I would give all the credits to Garima because I was still juggling between two boats because I had a good job. I didn't hate my job, but I was just not totally happy. And I had this. So she was like, let's just do it. We should just, give it a shot. And then we started reaching out for designers. We looked for, planters, and we were like, okay, there's nothing that's available in Guwahati. So everything has to come from a Delhi or a Bombay. How do we go about it? And then we were like, okay, let's do it. And then my father also supported us a lot. He was like, I'll be more than happy that you both come back because we've been away from home for more than a decade. So he was excited about us coming back home. All of that worked out, and then she just went on to a lot of websites, called a couple of designers, asked them, did all the groundwork, to be frank. I was still working and I had no time. She managed all of that, and then I got motivated. Like, I got motivated very late, to be honest, because I was sort of apprehensive that will people even understand this? Like, is it ever going to, will it be communicated the way we want it to be communicated? And then she was like, so then she sort of gave me the hard hand that you're a goddamn communication specialist. If you can't communicate your own business, then I think HUL should fire you. So so then yeah, I took it upon myself a bit personally, and then we thought about the logo, and then we actually thought about a lot of names, and we were like, the name has to be right, because I think it's very important. And honestly, I didn't realize until Natural Reaction came about that how important a brand name is. We basically juggled with a lot of names, and it just wasn't clicking, and the frustration was building up, because you've called for the products and you've done everything, but now if you don't market it well, it's all gonna go downhill. And that I've learned better than ever in college and during my work life. So, and she was like, the name, everything, it's all your job. I'm just going to design the planters. I'm not going to do anything else. So then I was just, discussing it with my colleagues at work. What do I do? Because I was like, let's seek some advice, because they're all experts in that. Nobody could really help because I couldn't connect with the name. And it's very funny, I was listening to a song and I was making this presentation for Hindustan Unilever, and then there was something like, this is my natural reaction. I don't know, it sounds very lame, I know, but then I was like, okay, I legit, like, I left the meeting and I paused and I was like, you know what, I went to my sister and I'm like, we're gonna name it Natural Reaction. I don't know, I just know that this is gonna be the name. And then just how it launched, she called for the planters. The planters came and we were not very happy with what we saw. We were like, it's very vanilla, it's very plain Jane. Then Garima looked up something called alcohol ink art, and she was like, you know what, you do this on paper, but what if we did this on planters? So I was like, you've totally lost your mind. It's not like anything can just go on the planter. She was like, just give me 2-3 days, let me do some trial and error. And then she came, like, she stayed in her art room for a long hours, and then she started doing this. She was playing with, like, I don't know, fire and alcohol, and I was like, what are you doing? And she's using terms like isopropyl alcohol, and I was feeling very lost. But then I was like, again, what's there to lose? She has a college, I have a job. If it doesn't work out, we'll go back to our mundane lives. But then she launched them, and we just uploaded a photo. That time we didn't have a page or anything. We just did it on our own pages, and everybody loved it. So then she was like, fine, I'm going to make 50 more of these. And then we started making those, and then Rakhi came about. So we then sort of marketed it really well, and we collaborated with Cut the Damn Cake, because we were like, they have good reach, and why not, do something different where you're not just giving out desserts, and you can give out important as well to your relatives. So then we launched a whole hamper with these alcoholic planters, and people seemed to really love it. That's where it kicked off, actually. Rakhi was a highlight for us. We didn't expect it, but I genuinely didn't expect 2 orders, but I think sold about some 150 pieces for Rakhi, and that was huge for us. I know it seems like a small number, but for a startup, I think it was great for us. We didn't even have stock to give out anymore, so we had to say no to orders like in the first month of launching. So that's where it kicked off. And then my mother, she was part of a couple of groups and everything, so she obviously oversold us. And then her couple of her friends, they were like, oh, to my balcony. So then I was a bit apprehensive. I was like, no, I actually don't have an experience in interior designing or anything. But then they were like, it's fine, nobody does, so just do it, let's see. They were also willing to give us a chance, so we went there with our presentations. We actually made presentations for clients, and we were sort of really in it. Like, that's when we had that realization that it's not a joke anymore, we're really in it. And if you're putting something in somebody's house, you've got to be very concrete about what you're thinking. So again, that whole thing about her, honestly, my generic knowledge about plants and her design ideas, we combined all of that together. And then we started doing like 1 or 2 projects, and then people started reaching out for these balcony orders. Then we got a whole terrace do-up that we did. So it's sort of picked up like that to be. That's what I said. Guwahati is a very encouraging market because I did not believe in this, and it wouldn't have happened if people wouldn't have supported it. To be frank, we would have just let it be. But the fact that more and more people started supporting it, then we got reached out by a mall. Well, we didn't get the order, but I think it was a huge opportunity that a whole mall wanted us to do their project, and the only reason that they didn't go for us is because they didn't want real plants, and we didn't want to compromise on what we believe in. And trust me, that was a very difficult decision to make because it was a lot of money, and they also told us that it's kind of stupid, that you're saying no to us, because. And then I was like, see, it's a small brand, but every brand should have a policy. 10 years down the line, if at all Natural Reaction becomes big, I don't want this to come back haunting me that, oh well, you did put plastic plants, so where does the sustainability go? So we said no to a really big project because we didn't want to put artificial plants, and they didn't get convinced about putting real plants. So those are the kind of elements that launch Natural Reaction, and it is where it is now. And I mean, it's still, there's a lot of scope to grow, but I feel we've done a good job, and I'm honestly again thankful for the people for accepting it and giving it so much of love and platform. Like, I have never imagined selling so many plants in my life, but yeah, it's a great feeling.
To be honest, the way you answered this question, there are so many highlights in your whole journey, starting from the name, starting from the process of getting the mixture of what what you know and what your sister knows, and getting into the whole venture, all to in a different level. And as you said, Rakhi was a very good time for you, and I have heard it from so many people around me that Rakhi was a great time to get marketing up and even get the sales up.
Yeah,
get
because
people
during the lockdown, whoever was able to give anything were actually the best people. Like,
to be honest,
they were
yes.
saviors. Yeah.
I get it. And plus, the way the thing that you said just right now about people giving you balcony orders, and Guwahati being a very good city to understand this kind of thing. My mom also does gardening, and she is always up for certain things like this. I love the way you have put up your Instagram profile. It's very aesthetic, and right now the things that people need is that positivity around them. And your whole setup, the way you create the pots, the way you create designs for balconies, even if you have done a few, but those things have the whole stage gave me that positivity. Yes, this is something that I want in my podcast, to people.
Yeah, it's all about feeling good, at the end of the day, I think.
That is important.
Yeah.
But by feeling good, I'll just divert it to a different topic altogether. Living in such a patriarchal society right now, I know you know how this world works, and how it has been for women. What kind of stereotypes have you faced? Like, what has been there? As a woman, I know you have faced a lot of things. Okay, I won't deny this fact, because as a man, as a person who has been woke late in his, as growing up, I have done a few things that has been on that path, and I regret it. To be honest, I regret it a lot. So I really want to know what you guys have faced, not around your life, but at least for the venture. What did you face?
Honestly, this is actually a very important question, and I have so many incidents to share, but I would just like to highlight that we're actually on the privileged side here, because we did get a lot of support.
Yeah.
At least in my house, my father, my brother, nobody came up to us and said that you girls can't do this business, it's not for you. That, having said that, small things like when we were placing orders, so kya hote hai, you have these GST numbers, and then the guy goes to the logistics service and everything. So many times it's just me and my sister coordinating with them, and then I have heard them say that, can you make us talk to the man of the business? And then we kind of, we've had a lot of fights actually with these suppliers, and then we were like, there is no man in this business, there are two women who are not running it, so yeah, the man of the business is on the line. So this happened once with a supplier from Delhi, where we couldn't work out the whole GST bit, because honestly, I'm also new to everything. So it was more than making Natural Reaction a success, it was all about learning how to even do a business in the first place. It's more than just selling, and the design was perfect. Okay, design, you have the plans, but ordering it from Delhi, then there is a minimum order quantity ratio. So understanding that, negotiating that, and then doing the
Dealing with
whole
such kind
GST bit. फिर उसके
of
ऊपर में you have the transportation charges. Yeah, so a lot of like maths also goes into it, huh? So then these guys were like, you don't know this, so make us talk to somebody who can. So first couple of times we did because we were nervous that yeah bhaiya, why don't you talk to them, and then papa, why don't you talk to them, and they actually did because they were also like, okay, you guys are struggling, let me speak to them. But then when I figured out how it's done, and then again somebody's telling me let us talk to the man of the business, I used to get offended that the man of the business is here. That, and then even when we used to do basically when we used to go buy plants, so there sometimes we used to have a lot of plants, and then it's just the simple thing ki my driver would say that you won't be able to take it, I'll take it, it's all right. And maybe he's being nice, but somewhere down the line we figured that okay, he's trying to say that we don't have the physical strength to do it. And then once Garima even told off my driver that I work out 1 hour every day and I have a personal trainer, so for if anything you can't do it and I'll most probably be able to do it. So things like that, there's a lot of stereotype around women can't lift heavy weights, or women can't understand financial terms, or probably this whole GST and ITR return is a alien concept for us. So these are like some of the issues that we used to really face. And again, I was talking to this South Indian designer once, and he just inanely referred to me as he, like so there is a he, and then I had to WhatsApp him and message him that this is a she, actually there is no he here. So yeah, I mean, there were incidents, and I'm not going to lie, but the one that really affected me was when somebody told us that make us speak to the man of the business, and that really got on our nerve. And that's when Garima actually decided that we are never going to have a female employee. So the businesses that we have collaborated with so far, they're all women run. No offense to boys and whatever they are doing, I think they're doing a great job, but just as a policy and sort of to heck with it, like let's go and be all political also now. So we decided that all the businesses that we collaborate with, we've collaborated with Cut the Damn Cake, we've collaborated with this brand called Baked Goodness, there's a Kapo, and there's a Brown Paper Craft. A lot of brands, whichever brands that we've collaborated, they are all women run. So we have sort of created this policy that we don't collaborate with any men-run brands. And we also create this policy that every employee that we hire will be a female. So all of the social media help that we get, or any physical help that we get, they're all women in our company. The delivery partner that we have, that organization is run by a girl. So sort of everywhere, every channel that we are networking with, apart from our designers, because obviously there you have to think a bit beyond your eco-social views. In general, everything that we do, we've decided that this is going to be an all-women's organization. In fact, from the backdrops that we have about the photos, even that is a women-found organization. So we checked it up that these are run by girls. So sort of somewhere we're doing our bit. And I think these were the stereotypes that we faced. Oh, there was one more actually that happened at home. I wanted to go on Prop Shop. As in the Prop Shop people reached out to us that we really like your products and why don't you list them. So I went all out with it, and then eventually it didn't work out, but that was not because of this, but they sent us the whole contract and everything, and I just wanted my father to sign it. Like there was an agreement consigned, so you have like this thing, so you have to sign it. And I told him to sign it, and then he read through it, like page by page, thinking that I've not read through it. And then he was like, have you read this, have you read this? I said, yeah, I know. In the beginning it's not going to make us any profit, but being on Prop Shop is a big deal. Now explaining your father what Prop Shop is a totally different task altogether. I didn't want to get into it, but I just told him, just trust me. And then he said, no, I can't trust you. This is a loss-making idea. This whole thing is a loss-making idea. So I can't trust you. So that day I felt really, I felt bad because my father's very supportive. He's generally very supportive, but because he doesn't understand online platforms, he thought that he can't trust me. And then we eventually didn't go online, but that was because Prop Shop didn't give us a good deal. It wasn't because of my father. Then I put it upon myself that, no matter what, I will go online and I will show you that it is not a loss-making idea. So yeah, then we are actually trying to go online and start delivering across India. So that's when I actually felt really bad. Like these two situations, I think it hurt us the most amongst all the other trivial ones that have happened.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
to be honest, I really wanted to talk about the stereotypes because till now there has only been one male, guest that I have had. Others have been female because every time I go through something, male, like people who have been uh, doing something like this, something unorthodox, or those people are male and they are doing something. There is something that they do that goes to being misogynistic or something which is very sexist, and that hurts me somewhere. So kahin na kahin I try to I'm trying to let people know that people, women every day face something like this. You guys have to talk to people every day over the phone for your deliveries, for anything that you have been through like this, and then right now you're told that your dad said something like this. uh, I Do you know Tanmay Bhatt?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Who doesn't know
So
him? Yeah.
he actually said in one of unscripted, scoop of unscripted interview that there is going to be
Yeah.
that 1% of misogyny and patriarchal things inside you, even though you are outspoken about कि नहीं तुम ये चीज को believe नहीं करता, and you support your women around you and everything. That thing came into my mind right now when you said about this whole thing, and he would have been unconsciously saying those things, I believe, but somewhere it.
Yeah, it's actually that's what I don't have. I don't hold anything against men, to be honest. I
Okay.
think they're also doing their bit, and we actually live in the better times right now, and we're actually privileged to not face the kind of patriarchal stereotypes that probably women in other parts of the country face. But yeah, like the other day I was driving and I hit an Activa. This happens so often in Guwahati, and it happens with everybody. But the fact that it was me, and then the whole crowd gathered up, and then I had to say sorry and move on, because then I would have heard a whole plethora of their nonsense about how I'm a girl and I'm driving. So I know they don't do
I
it
get
completely
offended by that. I really get offended by that. It's not that men don't rash drive or they don't know. They
that's
do.
what I tried to say, that it's not like men wouldn't hit an Activa. It's anybody could do it. It's nothing like there's a feminine wheel or there's anything like that.
It's not something
So
that I
yeah,
really want to do as an agenda, but this is something I'm trying to do. I'm not learning how to drive at all. I just know how to drive a scooty or a two wheeler as such. I don't drive any car or something. It's always like any person who knows how to drive is going to. When I go out with my friends, I try to be with a woman to just introspect that they don't do anything wrong. It's not that they're doing something wrong. It just happens out of the blue
yeah.
sometimes.
And you have to admit that people in Guwahati are really bad with traffic. They have no
Yeah.
traffic manners. If there was a term I could create for them. There are no traffic and road manners in the city. And I'm a new driver. So, it's just that as it is, I'm nervous. And then somebody goes, and instead of being like, oh, hey, there's a girl driving, so nice, it'll be like, I honestly don't even want that, because it should be totally neutral. Be it a girl, be it a guy. It's just somebody on the wheels. And I don't think God gave a separate feet or anything, or I don't know what this logic is. But yeah, it's difficult. It puts on so much performance pressure that, oh my god, if my car stopped right now, I'd probably be on a death threat. And it could happen to anybody. It happens to my driver also, who's a trained driver, and we pay him to drive. But it's just that if a girl does it, it's going to be a huge deal suddenly.
Does it like?
So yeah, that is the most
Do you have
annoying
this
bit.
thought unconsciously inside you that you will be no offense, please don't get offended by this, but when if you do something wrong as a woman, it will be all a dog or something like that. There will be something more to say about a woman.
I'm actually not. I don't have that extreme thought. Like I said, I feel like we're very privileged, because my upbringing has been different. So it just goes back to that. I have one brother and we are three sisters. So in this house, women run the family. It's my word against my brothers, and it's my mother's decision against everybody. She's the head of the family. So these kind of things. So I sort of don't face it, and I feel very privileged that this is the kind of upbringing we've gotten. But I've noticed it. Like I've seen it with friends, and I've in general experienced it. I've experienced it at workplaces where there's a whole glass ceiling, because it actually happened with me, but it remotely happened with me. It's just that I wanted to do this brand, Star Sports, right? And I'm not into sports, but I love doing the communication around it. It's very exciting, like the whole communication bit. And then IPL came about, and there was another colleague of mine, and he's a guy. Obviously, he's a sports fanatic and everything, but my communications are better. I knew that for sure. And I went and I pitched the idea that I want to be on the IPL team, and then they were like, I'm so sorry, but the client wants a male. And I was like, why? Is it because it's cricket and it's because it's IPL and girls don't know anything about sports? And then, see, he was not wrong. I don't know much about cricket, but I was like, it's about communications. I don't need to know at what speed Kohli is batting. I can promote Kohli as a person. That's what's important. So then they were like, yeah, but I'm so sorry, they want a guy. That's when I felt it, and then I was like, okay, fine, yeah.
That's so bad.
It's all right, because then somebody wanted to be on a fashion brand, and then it was a guy, and then the client said, no, we want a girl. So I guess it works both ways.
But it's bad, right? Being sexist in such a level where you have to think
so
about
that's
that.
what my opinion is. I wouldn't incline it all towards women, because I think even men face it.
Yes.
And I've seen that, having worked at a huge company and seeing so much. I've seen that. I mean, public relations as a industry, probably you're not aware of it, but it's dominated by women.
Yeah.
Our CEO is a woman, 80% of our staff is women, and there is this whole notion that public relations is supposed to be handled. I mean, I went to Xavier's, and it was a batch of 65 people, and it's surprising that I met only 5 guys pursuing this field.
Okay.
Although anybody could do it, right? Anybody with the mouth and the intelligence to communicate could do it. It's just this whole mindset and this mental block that only women do public relations, and if a guy wanted to do public relations, they've been looked down upon. They probably considered gay, actually. So I think it works both ways. I've seen that side of the story as well, and I've seen this side of the story. So I think everybody's had it hard.
Yeah, this thought also came in my mind when I saw people going to NEF doing fashion designing. People being men, and when I didn't have that much knowledge and I was not that woke enough about these kinds of terms, and my upbringing was very different, to be honest, as compared to you. So I'll say that because we are 3 men in our house and 1 woman, but still the women runs the house. I actually say that my mom runs the house, but the upbringing has led me to certain aspects here that I have seen those changes in me, and I believe people can change that way when they see that what they are saying is wrong and how the world is changing. That's what I wanted to talk to people about through my podcast as well, because someone has to make people understand that these things are wrong. तुम कहीं पे भी अगर
I'm so
in a
glad
fun way,
that you
if
launched
say,
this. Yeah, and I'm so glad that you do this, because we all discuss it over drinks and over coffee, but I feel like there has to be a more structured way to communicate it also. And I'm really glad for you to organize something like this. It's honestly, I'm enjoying this conversation, and I feel like, okay, like, it just makes you feel empowered. I think maybe that's a strong word, but somewhere leads you to that road, and that's very important right now for men and women both. I'm neutral. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not a feminist.
I know.
But yeah, for men and women both. It's just that I have had different experiences, so I wouldn't want to just become a feminist for the heck of being a woman.
No, it's not that, but someone will tell me someday that तुम्हारा पूरा panel is all about women, but I have this answer for them. No fucking man has been there in my life, or I haven't seen any person who has the same thought process as me, or I can connect with them in the same way through their page or whatever they are doing. If there are those people, I'll be glad to talk to them.
A guy supporting women, it's honestly great, because women support women all the time, but a guy supporting women is just
Something else.
Takes it a notch up. Yeah, honestly. So that's really, really great of you.
Thank you so much. So I will not divert to a lot of other things here. I'll just come out to the next question. You just gave an example of facing some kind of stereotype towards your father. And yes, you have told me that the acceptance is there when you have started something like this, something which is unorthodox. But I guess you have told us a lot of times right now that you are privileged enough. But what do you think? Just a simple, what do you think about this? Sometimes when parents' acceptance are so important for all daughters or sons, whatever they start, if it's unorthodox or unconventional. What do you think about that? Sometimes is it important or is it not?
it's very important. Honestly, it's really important. People may have different point of views, and while I am an individualistic person like that, but I would have not. Natural reaction wouldn't exist without my father funding it. Natural reaction wouldn't have existed without my mother teaching me how to do gardening, and then it wouldn't have existed without my brother, supporting the idea of putting together a whole business. So I think, and also tolerating us, because to be frank, how do I explain this? What you watch in movies or probably Shark Tank, the real day to day of things are extremely different because you're working out of home.
Yeah.
We did not have enough money to go and just start shop. It's a huge investment, and it's a risk altogether. And it was the pandemic at that time. Whatever is happening in the living room of the house, and everybody, and you have to be mindful of everyone living in the house, right? So everybody was getting affected by it. And I mean, hats off to them for keeping the patience. Every day there's mud in the hall, and then the maid has to clean it. Every day there's new stuff coming in from here and there. Somebody has to receive it, somebody has to unload it, load it. It's a lot of logistical movement of things, and if your family isn't supportive of that, you cannot do it. Even for a baker, I mean, your mother's the king, queen of the crown of the kitchen, but suddenly you want to be a baker, and then there's maida on her crockery set, and there's chocolate rolling around her cupboards. If she doesn't support it, you can't become a good baker unless and until you go out and launch your own kitchen. And to be frank, all these things come very later on in life when you've made it a successful venture. Even to do the dipstick, to try and test things out, your family needs to support it. And here our family actually supported it more than ever. I mean, we changed the whole house around. We needed the balcony, so we shifted everything out. And then we have a separate house and we have a separate workshop, but it's just that it's all part of the house. It's just we're living upper niche, so everybody is getting affected. And they had to be supportive, not just family, the staff in the house, everybody, from our dog to everyone had to support us, that my dog shouldn't eat the mud, and then my dad shouldn't lose his patience, and a lot of things. And it doesn't happen without family support. And I feel bad for those whose family don't support it, but to be frank, I am not one of those people who could do anything without getting support from my loved ones, be it my friends or be it my family. Some people can do it, and I'm appalled, and I thank their courage. But for me, it was difficult. But thankfully, our parents were very supportive. There were glitches. It's never a cakewalk all through the day, but in general, overall, their support really mattered. Not just emotionally, I legit mean physical support matters. To let you use the house, and I genuinely mean there's a lot of mess.
In the pandemic, you had to do everything at home. That's also one big thing.
Yeah. We still do everything at home. It's a home run business, and people
now
call us and ask us.
It has been like that. I believe that if the situation was different, you would have got a workshop in a different place altogether to do this stuff.
Probably, but I think it's worked out really well for us. We have a space, and nobody was using it, and now it's actually being put to use. So when people ask us, where's your store? And we're like, it's not a store. It's actually just a home run business, and it's a workshop. Whatever we do it out of here. And we would do the same thing at an outdoor space where we'd just be paying a lot of rent and wasting that money. So, it's actually good that it's a home run business.
That's great. You said that, a lot of people don't get that support, and you feel bad about that. For me, it was a very tricky situation because my dad didn't know what is podcasting. I just lost my job because of the pandemic, first of all. And then after that, I started podcasting, and, I had to explain him what is that. Then what was I talking about? That is one thing, because talking about menstruation with my dad, talking about mental health, talking about LGBTQ, explaining him, and being from an orthodox family, it has been quite tricky to explain him. But he was on board after all, because I was putting all my efforts to this, and I was doing this again and again and again and again. He has been supportive throughout. उतना interest नहीं आता है, but he is there कि yes, I'll share your videos even if I don't see your videos or do this. And to be honest, people who don't have that support from parents, I also believe कि वो support चाहिए होता है, वो acceptance के लिए शायद हम लोग कहीं
You
ना
lose the
कहीं start doing
motivation,
that. Yes.
your entire mental attention goes towards why is this person not supporting me, and you start questioning yourself. More than anything, actually, it's just about self-doubt. And if somebody who's very self-confident, it probably wouldn't affect him. But if you,
It
already
will.
are fighting
To be
self-doubt,
honest,
then
it will
you
affect
just
them
need
as
someone to
well.
believe in.
Self confident people also
Yeah.
get affected because parents कहीं ना कहीं they will call them and they'll be like कि तुम ये क्यों कर रहा है someday out of the blue when they have a great sale or something like that, and that will demotivate them somewhere, right? So it is
Yeah,
important,
totally.
and with time parents will, I guess, change their mentality, but it's our way to pursue them and persuade them to change their
Yeah,
whole thing.
it's how to do it. I mean, instead of being rebellious about it, maybe you can try explaining them your idea and just help them understand how it's actually doing so well. Like, I mean, honestly, like you said, your father didn't know about podcast LGBTQ. My father doesn't know any of these terms. He doesn't even know what half the things that we also do on Instagram, Facebook, and everything. But he's like, as long as you're making a difference, I feel like it's a good
Yeah.
thing. So I think that much understanding is more than enough to get you going. He doesn't need to know all the technicalities of it, but at least he believes that you are going to do something great. So I think that really is important.
That is the support, like वो आशीर्वाद बोलते हैं ना कि आशीर्वाद दे दिया, that is the thing that we need. ज्यादा we don't
Yeah, and
want anything.
if you need a podcast on terms that parents don't understand and explaining it, I would love to, show it to my dad if at all in the future you
No,
make
I
it, because
have.
it's actually difficult and I want them to know.
There's this season that I
So
want to
yeah.
do later on, which is all based on family and friendship. There are these kinds of topics like open up relationship, live in relationship. There are topics like this that I want to talk about, and I believe parents should listen to these kinds of things because a healthy debate will be
Yeah,
there for sure.
actually, they should, because all this while we've been growing up thinking, living our parents' side of the story. But now I think the tables have turned, the world works differently,
Yeah.
absolutely differently from
And
how
they
it used
don't
to.
know the
And
outer
parents
world
need to now,
actually,
yeah,
like we do.
parents need to now get acquainted with all of this. They need to know what, being homosexual means and what it means to be queer. All of these things are very important. These terms actually are so important, and they shouldn't feel like they're not part of this world anymore just because they don't understand these terms. So I think that will be a great podcast, to be honest.
Thank you. I'll try to do something like that for sure. Next question that I want to ask you is that pandemic, if I say, pandemic, which is still going on and it's a very difficult situation for people, but if we join mental health with it, what will you have in your mind when it comes to, these two words?
Um, the first phase of the pandemic worked out really well. It gave birth to natural reaction, and it launched a totally new horizon for us. But honestly, I'm a bit worried about the second phase of the pandemic, because now this is a hardcore business, and it's going to affect us like any other business, where we will have to cut costs. We won't be able to make deliveries. Probably people will not want to place their orders because this. So if I say it in Hindi, what my parents told me when I started doing this is that कि ये बहुत शौक का चीज है. So this is the first thing that's going to get eliminated from anybody's list. Okay, well, I want a garden, but like right now there's a pandemic and probably there are so many costs. Let's skip that garden to next year. And see, it's a decision for your family to save your livelihood, but then eventually it's going to start affecting natural reaction success. These are I'm being candid here. These are my honest fears, because eventually the whole mental health comes from all that's going on in your life holistically, be it your personal life, be it your professional life, everything for that matter. And if my business is not going to do well or see that day-to-day growth, it's going to eventually start affecting my mental health, because I quit my job to do this and I stayed at home to do this. I moved to Guwahati to do this. I mean, I literally uprooted my life and I came here. So probably right now all I have is hope, and I hope that things don't spiral down as badly and we're still able to, we're still running in business, because it's a small business at the end of the day. And I can't keep using my dad's funds just because I have them. If I were to go out all by myself and if I didn't have anybody backing me up, I wouldn't be able to sustain this business if it ran like this. So, these are the thoughts that really sort of fearful thoughts that I have. But then again, it's honestly, you take it one day at a time, I feel. For me, that's what I tell myself, just to take it one day at a time. And keep striving to find newer ways to gather new customers, maybe. So that's the whole idea for me.
That's a very nice thing to end your answer with, because right now there is so much negativity around us. We need that positive vibe, and one day at a time is a good solution. If people have that thing inside their head कि हाँ, आज का दिन जैसे भी जा रहा है, tomorrow is a new day, something good can happen. आज अगर खराब भी गया तो it's fine. That mentality should be there, because people are panicking. To be honest, I also panicked when I got to know about the situation at my place, and it sometimes it gets affected because all you see in Instagram or wherever you see, it's all bad news. People are not getting beds or something like that, and it affects you mentally. So that
Yeah,
way,
exactly. That's what, and it's just, it's very unsettling because the first time it happened, it was novel, and we loved the idea of staying at home. I got a chance to spend time with my family, and to self introspect, grow, and all of that happened last year. But if you think about it, a lot of people did get affected. Maybe we didn't get affected and we're the privileged lot, but a lot of people got affected. They lost a family member. Some people didn't get to see somebody when after they passed on. And these are some really heartbreaking things. And I don't think anybody's ready to experience a second wave of, all of this. It's just, if you have a headache running for 2 days, you get fed up of it, and having a whole pandemic coming back to your life for another whole year, it's honestly, if I think about it, it would give me chills. So I try to just leave it at the surface of it, and genuinely take it one day at a time, because it may be a better day tomorrow. Like, not like your immediate tomorrow, but hope the next month or the coming month it should get better, and it really needs to be frank.
I believe it will. As it's the same way, I believe the same thing. Yes, one day at a time is a good concept, and tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow never comes is a thing, but yes, in our mind, if you think that way, कि yes, tomorrow will be better, we'll have that, strength to survive this day at least. Because mental health,
It's like
yeah,
it's sorry, I'm just cutting you off. It's like when we used to get a day off school, and
yeah,
randomly kuch ho gaya, suppose there's a fire check, and you'd be so excited that, oh wow, I'm not going to go to school for 2 days. But then imagine if you were told that you don't have to go to school for a whole month. So that excitement kind of dies. Like, yeah, I didn't want to go to school, but I at least wanted to have the option of going to school.
yeah.
So these
I
are
got
small
that.
things that really affect the mind.
People need to understand that, and it's not that their lives have been affected with these sort of things. Some people have been affected mentally in such a drastic way, like people are not even able to give their exams for such a long time because of this pandemic. Like exams are getting
Yeah, their
cancelled
lives
and
are on a
postponed,
hold.
studying again and again, and you are giving all your efforts, and suddenly you get this news that your exams have been postponed because of this. And what to say here? I mean, whom to blame? It's like everyone is to be blamed here, and playing that blame game right now is not that a great option. So I'll just move to the next question. uh, People usually talk about achievements when it comes to anything that they start, to give that motivation to people. But a few months ago, I started believing that failures are something that make you learn a lot of things, because that is something that you won't do ever again. But achievement is something like you set a bar and you want to cross that achievement again. This is the thing that is my benchmark. Now, uske upar ya utna, at least I have to be there. So I'll really be glad if you could share something like this. If it starts from failure, it would be great. And then move to something as of achievement, and what you learn from it, how it helped your venture.
So honestly, we faced a lot of failures. If I had to just talk about natural reaction itself, there were a lot of failures. And one I spoke about earlier, that when the designs came, we were not very happy with it. So we had to tweak it around, and we had to work it, because we'd already invested so much money, and there were like a room full of products lying in front of us, and we had to make it work somehow. So somewhere down the line, that seemed like a failure at that point. But then, yeah, the biggest learning was that if we can make something out of it, maybe we can make the best out of this, it's going to help us. So that was one of the things, one of the, how do I say, it was an inception failure. If the products are not right, you can't go anywhere. And then it happened again with us when we launched these metal planters. So the planters were great, they looked amazing and everything was aesthetic, but out of there was like a 30% damage that we received, and we paid a huge sum of money. So, and obviously the suppliers were not willing to take it back, but we couldn't sell those dented planters. So, and they're still lying because nothing can be done about them. Honestly, nothing can be done about them. But the only learning from there on was to never. So we got too excited, I think, and we wanted to reach out to a lot of different designers. Then we decided that okay, we're only going to reach out to verified designers because a lot of people are doing this, but quality is most important. So that was the second failure in natural reaction. Then the third failure came when people are contacting us saying my plants are dying. That was a very tricky failure actually, because now I cannot how do I explain this? How you're taking care of your plant is your
What
yeah,
do you
it's
do if your plant
actually
is yourself?
yeah, and we share a care guide with the plant, right? That's the most I can do for you. And you have to take care of a plant because it's a living thing. It's just, if you probably went on a rage weekend and, feel you're overdosed on something, your body is going to eventually react to it. If you don't hydrate yourself, you're going to faint. It's the same with plants. They need air, water, sunlight, and they need it in a substantial amount. I mean, if you stood under a 50-degree hot under the sun, you will burn out just like the plant. And if you didn't hydrate yourself, you will fall apart. It's just that. But it kept happening very often. And customers are customers. They don't understand. Sometimes they don't understand these things. So, we used to get a lot of complaints that the plant is dying and the plant is dying. And we have replaced so many plants for people. To a point, we just said that this needs to stop. There needs to be an end to this, because as a business, it's really, disappointing, and it's really places a question on your credibility. But at the end of the day, we are in the business of selling something living. It's a living being. It's as living as you are. It needs food, it needs water, it needs care to sustain and survive. It's almost like you gave birth to a baby and you went to the doctor and said that I'm not happy with it, it's not of the best quality. But it's so that is, and this actually we're still dealing with. I wouldn't call it a failure, but it's sort of a challenge. We're still trying to make people understand how the living and survival of the plant depends on how much you care for it. It's literally, that's why they're called plant babies, because they're actually like babies. You need to care for them, you need to give them attention, you need to really look after them. And if you're not going to do that, it's not going to survive. And you can't come back to us and blame it on us that the plant didn't survive, because that is honestly stupid. But I understand the fear of the customer, because they're investing a huge sum of money into this, and they wanted to give yield results. Only thing is that it needs a bit of attention. And we do tell our clients a lot of times that don't go for plants that look fancy, because then you'll be disappointed in a week's time where they are not serving you right. And then we have had clients who've come back to us saying that yes, you were right, I'm so sorry I went for this plant, can you please replace it, and I'm willing to pay for it. So yeah, we also get those kind of clients who admit that okay, I was warned. There are some plants that are very sensitive and you need to have some expertise in taking care of them, but they look beautiful. I mean, you've probably seen those beautiful calatheas that are purple on the outside and black on the inside, and you're like, oh, I want this plant, but then it's a very sensitive plant, it's very fussy. So sometimes just I would wish that people would trust us, and then this wouldn't be so much of a failure, because at least we would from our end try not to give you a plant that's gonna die and that's gonna give up on you. But you also need to sort of trust us that if I'm recommending a plant, it may not look the best, probably it may not look very glamorous, but it's gonna survive. So it's rather have a living plant than a dead beautiful plant, right? So yeah, this is a huge, it's actually a huge challenge for us. It's not a failure, but it's another huge challenge. We were trying to get listed on Amazon, and for some reason it kept rejecting us. It's still rejecting us. So it's very frustrating.
There
I
are
don't know what's
terms and
happening.
conditions, right, on that.
A lot of them, we've tried to reach out to them a lot of times, but we are doing everything right. It's the whole it's difficult to do these things. I can't explain, you know.
Slowly you
So
will.
these are the smaller, larger failures that we face. And even in terms of orders, you know, not every day is the same. It's and you probably start feeling like, okay, you're not putting in the same effort, or what is it, what's not working today that worked yesterday. So I think it's an everyday battle of this failure and learning. So these are the bigger failures of my life, you know, of my life as in of natural reactions life. And well, the achievements are that we launched this in the first place. It itself is a big achievement, and we hope that it's going to go places. We genuinely hope to service pan across and pan India, and we hope that we get on Amazon, because that's going to improve our sales a lot. These kind of you know, smaller achievements that could convert into a huge full-fledged business. It's still a small venture, and we want to convert it into a concrete service agency and have a team and give Natural Reaction a brand name altogether. Right now, it's a small, homegrown idea. We want to convert it to a larger business that where the livelihood of the people with it depends on it. You know, right now it's just living in a lull period.
To be honest, after people listen to this whole, you know, achievement wala thing, they'll be really happy, and I guess people will understand how big this thing is going to be, how important it is, and how you are slightly changing the world into a whole different thing. You know, you are helping to, you know, change the world around for people to understand somewhere ki हाँ वो, you know, plant wali aesthetic can also be something that you can put out in your home, because a lot of people don't do that,
Yeah.
because they have this thing like you said na, ki some people are like, oh, they don't take care of the plant as they have to, and then they complain in a different way altogether. So some people are already complaining ki nahi bahut taamjham hai, like, you know, they have to pour water, take care of them, put it out, but it's like a baby only. You have to take care of it in a nice way, and it's not that you can't do it, you can always do that. It's a very good thing to
It's
do
just
it.
that you're actually living with another being, and I think it's
Yeah.
great to, whenever I see my plants, I feel really at peace, and I feel like, okay, I'm alone in a room, but I'm not actually alone, because I'm surrounded by so many living beings, and it feels great, honestly.
That is nice, to be honest. And just a simple question for you, for people who want to start something like this but somewhere are stuck, or you know, they are stuck in middle or whatever it is. I just want you to give us a small piece of advice, if you could, to them when they start something like this.
My only advice is keep at it, honestly, because Natural Reaction wouldn't have been so successful if we wouldn't have executed it in the first place. We got a lot of ideas. This wasn't the first of them. There were a lot of ideas. There were a lot of historic ideas. The fact that we didn't execute them, no one knows about them. So, you know, an idea is as good as it being executed. Whatever the idea is, to be honest, it could be anything. If you work on it, if you work towards it every day, it can shoot. I mean, think about it. It's a very, I don't know, I think I'm a very traditional person, but your pen ka nip hota hai. Somebody is manufacturing those. What would have gone into that person's mind that I'm going to have a revolutionary idea? I'm going to change the world. I don't know, but that thing is so important, and he's probably a millionaire. And I just recently got to know this, that in all of Guwahati, the sugar sachets that we have, all of Guwahati, kya, all of Assam, the sugar sachets that we have.
Okay.
So the sachet itself is being manufactured by just one company.
Okay.
So when I think about these things, and I'm like, would he have sat and thought this is a great idea, because like he's making what 1 centimeter lamba paper stuck together? What was he thinking? This is a great idea, but he's a millionaire, and I think the only thing that I can actually pen it down to is that he was at it, and he got the machineries to do it. He probably got designers to do the graphic designing for him, jo bhi hai, whatever is anybody's protocol. But you know, small things like these exist in the world because somebody is working on them, and these are essential things. So you probably don't need a great idea, you just need to work on it. Like, you just need
Being
to actually just
consistent
do
and be that
something,
confident on yourself. That's
yeah, anything. People make buttons, people make threads, and these things exist because somebody is making them. It's
Yeah.
not falling from the sky.
Yeah.
So it's very important to just keep at it. Doesn't have to be a great idea.
It seems like you have learned a lot during this whole pandemic as well, and you are getting the chance to explore different kinds of things, because this example is very out of the box. People won't understand how that came about, but to give this example is a very
I
good
know
advice.
it sounds weird because everybody thinks natural reaction is such a great idea, but if you think about it, plants have existence before our existence. It's just that somebody is bringing it to your doorstep. I'm a delivery person, if I had
Yeah.
to put it that way. I'm literally a delivery person.
And you
My
are
service
just
is not the plant.
yeah, and you're just putting up your idea into it in a different way, and you're just delivering it out. The fact that you said कि it has already been existed around us for such a long time, and अब दिख रहा है because तुम लोग like you guys are showing it in a different way altogether.
Nobody saw it, and so many, and I learned it from my father actually. My dad deals into iron and steel, and I asked him one day, what did you like, how did you get involved in this? Because we don't come, this is my father's business, we don't have a hereditary whatever, anything has come to us from our ancestors, if I had to put it. And he said, I saw a heap of scrap on the road, and I was like, somebody must be paying money for these as well, right? It exists for a reason. And he actually started by selling scrap that now is a full-fledged iron and steel business. So, Kabad Wala also makes business, and he does. So everything, and what I actually want to say to whoever wants to and is probably apprehensive whether or not his idea is good or bad, it doesn't matter. Just go all out at it, and it probably, it is. It's gonna like, I don't know.
If it has to work, it will work, but you have to give your 100% to it. That's the thing.
Because it doesn't have to be a unique idea, frankly. Yeah. Unique ideas don't exist. Genuinely, they don't.
Yep. This idea would have come to someone else as well, that has come to you or come to me. But they might have not
Probably
started.
Didn't see the opportunity or the money-making potential in it, and just let it go, and then someone else make a huge success out of it.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So
great piece of advice, to be honest. It helps me as well. Somewhere I'll also, when I go through the whole episode, when I'll be editing it or whatever I'll be doing, it will help me for sure. Because there are days when I feel low and it's like, no, it's not working. But these kinds of things.
I'm feeling like such a guru, but I just realized that it's important to know this for everyone, to not dismiss their ideas, because it could be revolutionary.
This is what is motivating me to do, keep doing these kinds of episodes, because people are coming with such interesting and innovative ideas out of the blue. And as you said, it's not unique. Those are just ideas which have had come with people and they have not started, and you have the opportunity to just start it and just be at it, as you said.
So, exactly.
The last question that I would really want to ask each and every person who has been coming into my podcast, and I just want to know from them, because there's a whole new difference that you see when you start something as a venture, as your baby, and when you are about to have 1 year or 2 year or 4 years of experience, you learn a lot of things and you see the difference in yourself as well. So what kind of difference do you see in yourself when you started this whole thing and right now?
For one, I feel like I've come a long way because I'm doing a podcast. I don't know, it just feels like this is a success. So I think I have grown very patient, extremely tolerant, and I have learned to live with failures, to be frank, because I feel like even now in the future, natural reaction may exist, may not exist. I will still be here and I will still be trying my hands at a lot of things, but all that I've learned here, it's definitely going to take me places. And I've actually done a lot of different things and changed my paths and careers a lot, and then I'm doing this, and probably I'll move on. But I think what's important is to keep learning, and I genuinely believe in that, and that's my only learning from natural reaction, because customers actually educate you a lot. Sometimes somebody comes and they're like, they want this plant, and I'm not going to claim like I'm an expert and I'm a botanist and I know about each and every plant that exists on the world, because that's a white lie and it would not be humanly possible. So I get to learn from my customers a lot, and I get to know about a lot of new plants. I get to know about a lot of new designs, and every day I'm learning from them, and then they're probably learning from me. So I'm really, honestly, the only takeaway from my venture is the fact that it gave me an opportunity to understand a whole new horizon. Like I said, I'm a PR consultant. I studied business management, and this was nowhere close to whatever my academic qualifications are supposed to yield. I'm learning this on the job. My mom, when I started this, I was very scared because I did study botany and I did study architecture, the two important things that are probably relevant to do start something like this. And my mother said this, and she said, "Beta, kaam ko kaam sikhate hai."
Yeah.
So a lot of that is what I keep to myself every day, that it's okay if you don't know about this. You can educate yourself right
Yes.
now. There are so many people who've educated themselves and still don't do a good job at it. So the best part about doing natural reaction is that I get to learn every day. I get to know about new brands, I get to know about new plants every day, and that nobody can take away from me. Like, probably natural reaction may fail as a financial business, but I think the idea, the concept, all of that will still sustain, and that will still stay with me forever.
The
So
learnings
that's
are going to be a lot
honestly
of things that you will be doing, even if it fails. And I believe it won't, क्योंकि बहुत unique है.
like worst case scenario, if at all it did
Yeah.
fail, then also it would be like, at least I have the learning, so I'll probably get employed at some other architect firm and then use
And yeah,
this
you will know a
knowledge.
lot of things about even plants, and you have had that hobby of gardening and that interest in gardening. Plus, as you said, ki, you always get new ideas from people, from customers about different kinds of new plants that have been there, and you can add it to your whole venture and everything. So these kinds of changes actually help people to understand ki, there can be new learnings as well, even if you start something that you have been knowing a lot of time. Like you said, you didn't have.
Yeah, and even if it fails, the
Yeah.
learnings won't fail you.
Yeah, true.
I'm saying, even if they start something and if it fails, the learnings won't fail you ever. That I can say for sure, to be honest. I think you get an experience from everything because, I studied management, and then I went to study PR, and then I went into this whole media segment. I founded Natural Reaction, and I was like, you sometimes you sit and wonder, ki, what has been your life journey, and then you're like, acha, what is going to relate to what? And then when I started Natural Reaction, genuinely the whole brand management and the communication bit is what got the boat sailing. And then I've sat down and I've wondered, and I was like, yeah, this came from my education and this came from my work experience, and probably we're doing a good job at it because we don't have any experience in plants, any experience in communications, and that's what's helping the business grow. So it never fails you, that for sure.
You think a lot, it seems. So I'll just ask you this blank question out of the blue. Sometimes you sit, somewhere isolated and in solitude, you just think, the first day when you thought about this whole idea, the name, what was your reaction, and how proud you are of yourself?
When I first thought about all this, and I was like, so I'm a very lazy person like that. I'm being very candid. So I was like, oh shit, now I thought about it, I have to actually do it. Then Garima is like I said, Garima is the fire to it now. She's like, yeah, you have to do it. That's when it's going to actually physically exist in your head. It's an idea and nobody knows about it. So that was the first thought that I had. But yeah, on good days I do feel like I've come a long way, and I'm glad I created this, and I feel like, yeah, we did create an impact. Maybe it wasn't a volcanic impact, but I think it led to some eruptions, so that's great. And whatever happens, I have no regrets about Natural Reaction. So
That is more important than
I'm
anything.
extremely glad.
That is very important.
I'm extremely glad that it exists.
So
that's the only thing I'm not.
So this was a whole lot of questions that I had to ask you, and it has been really interesting to know about your venture. It has been really intriguing, to be honest, because seeing people like you do such great things to starting great ventures like this in such a small city where I have not known a lot of people doing something like this. It was a really good episode for me, and thank you so much for doing this with Perception 101. I had a great time talking to you about everything that we have discussed: stereotypes, your failures, your achievements, how you started this whole thing, your advice. It was a very fun and interesting episode. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much. Honestly, the pleasure's all mine. It's really great to be here, and I'm so glad you do this. It's like I said, if I'm doing something interesting in a small city, honestly, you've probably taken all the points there because uh, doing a podcast out of Guwahati is a really cool idea. Frankly
Thank you.
speaking, it's amazing, and I'm looking forward to this video and see how it goes about, and definitely looking forward to that whole LGBTQ educational video. I want to show it to my dad. So
Certainly.
glad that you're doing this, and your questions are very intelligent, I must say, and they're very.
Thank you.
You want to talk about them. These are the issues that people need to talk about, and that's really they're not, they're not frivolous questions. These are important questions. So I genuinely enjoy talking to, you, and I hope I didn't stretch it out.
So, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, do not forget to like and comment. Do share this episode with as many people as you can. And before you go, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for staying tuned. Next episode, next Saturday.